Hello and welcome to Computer Science 30S. This is Lesson 3, Predicates and the Block Library. This particular lesson is fairly short. Shouldn't take too long at all. And after this lesson, you'll know what a predicate block is. You'll understand the value to saving user-defined blocks individually so that they can be imported. And we talked about that already a little bit. And you should be able to create a predicate block as required. Okay, so let's talk about what a predicate is. We're going to make our own. A predicate is a kind of block that reports either true or false. Some people might call this Boolean logic. Snap and Scratch in particular call it predicates. So we have a greater than operator, and we have an equal operator, and we have a less than operator, but we want a new greater than or equal to operator. So we're going to create that ourselves. We're going to create a new block, and we're going to select the predicate shape down here, as you can see. So we're going to make a new block, and we're going to make it a operator, and we're going to make it a predicate, just like so. And we're going to call it greater than or equal to. So we're going to have %x greater than or equal to %y. Remember, once again, the x and the y are going to be the arguments that are passed into this particular block. Okay, so that looks good. This gives us a block editor that has a predicate shaped blank at the bottom, like so. There we need to place the predicate that we actually want to report. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We can fill that in with the composition of a greater than or equal to operators. Notice that this predicate block reports either true or false. There really isn't a whole lot to do inside the block editor here. We can do all of our logic actually right inside this block here. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to report, let me just see here. We're going to have an OR. So if x is greater than y, or if x is equal to y, we need another one in here. Like so. We're going to report that right there. That's what we're going to actually report. We don't have anything to do in this part here. There's no real logic to perform in this particular example. And let's just see if that works. I was just looking ahead of my notes there. I think we can go ahead and continue with this. And let's go with, let's just test it out here. I don't really have any code, any slides to show you a test here, so let's just go ahead and try this on our own. Go to slides, we're going to ask for an x, and we're going to, well, we've got num1 and num2 left over from the last time, so let's go ahead and use those. That'll work just nice. We're going to set num1 equal to the answer. If you don't have num1 and num2, you're going to have to create those variables. And remember how I duplicated this. Put a y in there. Oops, I did that the last time. Put a y in there. We're going to set num2 to that one. And we're simply going to say, I think this should work. We're going to say, there's my block right there. We're going to report or say whether number 1 is greater than or equal to number 2. Let's just see if this works. So I'm going to go with 7, 4, and it reports true because 7 is greater than 4. If I run it, we'll go with 4 and then 7. It will report false. And if I run it with the same numbers, I get 7 and 7, I get true. Okay, so we've created a predicate. It returns a value for us, whether true or false. So you can use it to check if something is true or something is valid, and then you can do whatever you need to do in the main code depending on whether that's true or false. Okay, so here's some practice for you. I'd like you to make a between block. I'd like you to create a new predicate block that determines if a number is between the other two numbers. The block should return true if the first number is between the two numbers, or if it's equal to either of the two numbers. And I'd like you to save this to your block library. So you're going to create a block, looks like this, and I'd like you to save it to your block library. And by now you should have a small block library of blocks that you've created. I think some of these are old ones that I've actually asked former students to do. This isn't the complete list, but you should have a small library. I know draw shape is in there. I know draw square is in there. I think you've got max of X and Y and so on. These ones look to me like to be old assignments that I've given in the past. I'd like you to have a small library, a folder in your Computer Science 30S folder, just called My Blocks or something like that. And at some point, I'd like to see that. So yes, you now have a small block library that you can use for building large programs. To use one, simply use the import project feature, and it basically merges two projects together. And if the project only contains a single block, then you simply import that block. So if the blocks, like I said, if the blocks are saved correctly, you can combine many projects to use previously created blocks. A very handy little feature. You can also download some pre-made blocks at this particular link right here. Let me see if I can get you there. Oh, I've got some sort of error here. We might have to relook for that link. At the end of this, I'd like you to show me your in-between block and a folder containing several files that are individual blocks. So that's your assignment for today. These are just practice. There'll be no marks assigned. Good luck.